Now, attire malfunctions are more commonplace in everyday life than we realize. Many of you watching this video may have been caught shortchanged at one point in life, but probably fortunately for you, the most embarrassing moment of your existence wasn't broadcast in HD to millions of viewers across the world. Indeed, the live televised nature of WWE means that when things go wrong, there's no going back. So join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 of the worst attire malfunctions in WWE. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Number 10. Exposing the Queen. And no stranger to sharing more flesh than she would like, Charlotte Flair once more found herself in a losing battle with the top half of her attire during a November 2025 SmackDown. Unsuccessfully wrestling Nia Jax, Flair, sporting a silver and green look, repeatedly adjusted her gear throughout the match after her top came loose. Luckily, Charlotte's dignity remained intact, given the WWE producers cut to black whenever she was left in a compromising position. And then she was subsequently able to find humor in a situation that would have left many scarred to even open up their phone. Replying to a fan on X, the Queen jokingly noted that she would have to start wrestling in her flamboyant entrance robes. This near exposing of Charlotte's top half followed a similar occurrence from her WrestleMania 38 encounter versus Ronda Rousey. Applying the figure 8 on Rowdy Ronda, Flair's gear again shifted from its designated position, forcing WWE's production team to go into red alert during the time to avoid losing its PG rating. Number 9. An LED disaster. Throughout his legendary career, Chris Jericho has cultivated a legacy for routinely reinventing his look, but the LED light-up jacket he debuted in 2012 may be his most famous reinvention to date. The jacket became a synonymous aspect of his career thereafter, the bright lights contributing greatly to his signature pose atop the stage. However, at WrestleMania 28, Y2J was left flustered as his entrance gear failed him. The lights on the left side of his jacket were faulty, leaving Jericho looking like a bit of a fool as he entered for his WWE Championship challenge versus CM Punk. As it turns out, this was the fault of Christian and Brodus Clay behind the scenes, who'd been modeling the jacket backstage. Chris Jericho recalled a hilarious story during a one-man show in London, noting that Captain Charisma and the future Funkasaurus had sent him pictures of them wearing the flashy jacket. So I'm trying to figure out why this stupid thing didn't work and what happened to it. So I got back to the dressing room after we had the match. I thought it went pretty good, but still in the back of my mind I'm thinking, why didn't this stupid jacket work? I even texted the guy who made it. I spent $15,000. It's a piece of shit and it didn't work. What's wrong with you? I'm yelling at everybody. Then I've got a couple of text photos from Christian. He sent me a couple of pictures of him and Brodus Clay. Remember that name? The biggest thing I remember about him is that he was wearing my effing jacket before WrestleMania 28 in Miami. I'm like, now I know why it's broken, because it was like a fat guy in a little coat. Hopefully Jericho brings back the illuminated jacket for his intended return to WWE. Number 8. Lyra's loose top. Between her inauguration as the Women's Intercontinental Champion, her acclaimed series of matches against Becky Lynch, and whatever she's been up to with Bayley as of late, 2025 was a remarkable year for Lyra Valkyria, but it almost got off to an immediately embarrassing start for her at the Royal Rumble. Entering a maiden Rumble match, the Irishwoman's strappy ring gear instantly came undone, nearly exposing a bare chest a la Jacqueline at Capital Carnage 1998. Thankfully for her, the quick-thinking Liv Morgan spotted Lyra struggling to maintain her decency and knocked her into the corner so that she could prevent the top from falling any lower. Like Charlotte Flair, Lyra found great amusement in the situation in hindsight, telling the Battleground podcast that she's never been so happy to take a forearm to the face. Unfortunately, that wasn't Lyra Valkyria's only attire malfunction of 2025. Number 7. When two became one. And not every example of a wrestler suffering an attire malfunction needs to be definitively humiliating. Sometimes, like when AJ Styles was revealed as a secret thong wearer at TLC 2016, they can be hilarious. Such is the case when Lyra Valkyria and Bayley challenged Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair for the Women's Tag Team Championships in October 2025. Near the end of the match, Lyra caught Bliss mid-dive, reversing a crossbody attempt into a Nightwing finishing move. However, upon executing the Samoan driver, Lyra's hair became entangled in the top half of Alexa's ring gear, leaving the pair in an awkward angle until Bayley and Flair were able to help their respective partners become free. Extraordinarily, nothing was exposed during the hilarious altercation outside of Bliss's secondary top, leaving this as merely a whimsical blunder that really couldn't have been replicated if either woman had tried. Number 6. Anything but Tiffy's time. Similar to fellow NXT alumni Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton enjoyed a great 2025, cashing in her Money in the Bank contract on Nia Jax at the onset of the year to begin her lengthy stint as the WWE Women's Champion. but it was just weeks later that Tiffany suffered a humiliating moment while facing Candice LeRae. Beating down on the Poison Pixie in the corner of the ring, the upper half of Stratton's ring attire fell loose, leaving the then Women's Champion having to conceal her dignity before the feed cut to black. When it returned, Tiffany's gear was as good as new, leading to a successful match against Candice LeRae. Much like Charlotte Flair, unfortunately, this marks the second instance in as many years that Tiffany's modesty was almost exposed. In May of 2024, as she battled Bianca Belair in the quarterfinals of the Queen of the Ring, Stratton was hoisted in the air for a back suplex, but as Belair lifted her, she also lifted her trunks, leaving the ex-NXT Women's Champion scrambling to cover her lower half. Number 5. A mistake on the big stage. WrestleMania has traditionally been considered the mothership for outstanding wrestling attire. While regular headliners like Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and John Cena prefer to maintain their traditional looks, minus the odd color change, those lower down the card will use their opportunity on the grandest stage of them all to showcase a new look altogether, often taking inspiration from landmark points in their career or from various pop culture references. Sometimes, however, those at the top of the mountain can't even remember to bring their most iconic aspect of their attire to the arena. Indeed, at WrestleMania 15, Stone Cold Steve Austin forgot to pack his iconic entrance vest for his main event showdown versus The Rock, his first of 3 fights at the showcase of the Immortals against the Brahma Bull. Apart Austin, his reason for forgetting the black vest was that he wasn't thinking straight, owing it to his ongoing divorce from his second wife Jeannie Clark. So 15 was really cool for Jim Ross to call that match, but I was mad at 15 because hell, I was going through a hell of a divorce and forgot my damn ring vest, and so I had to walk to the ring in a t-shirt. And you never want to walk to the ring in a t-shirt when it's WrestleMania and you want to look like $1,000,000 in full gimmick. You're not trying to sell a t-shirt, you're trying to put on a show, so that sucked on that standpoint. Number 4. Nia Jax's slip. But just days after she was involved in the near exposing of Charlotte Flair's chest, Nia Jax found herself facing a similar predicament during the November 10th, 2025 airing of Raw. Having helped the Kabuki Warriors steal the Women's Tag Team Championships from Flair and Alexa Bliss, Jax was involved in the post-match brawl that was slotted in to set up the annual Women's War Games match. This brought about the return to television of Rhea Ripley, who struck down the irresistible force, leaving her awkwardly struggling to maintain the positioning of a long-sleeve top. As has become common practice, WWE producers were able to cut around the incident as Nia adjusted herself, cutting to black as they did for Charlotte Flair the Friday before. Number 3. An exposing comeback. Now, another competitor who is no stranger to having their gear fail on them is Nikki Bella. Bella suffered another unlucky attire malfunction upon a return to WWE programming back in October 2025. The Hall of Famer would come to the aid of Tiffany Stratton following La Premiera's successful Women's World Championship defense against Roxanne Perez, fending off both Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. At one point during the melee, Bella was knocked to the mat, resulting in the screen cutting to black. And when the feud resumed, Nikki was fully clothed, leaving many wondering why exactly it was necessary to cut the broadcast. Shortly after the embarrassing incident, Nikki Bella slightly altered her ring gear, debuting the new look as she collided with Valkyria at Survivor Series. Despite this, she took every precaution to avoid a repeat episode, as she detailed on a podcast. Before I went out there, not only was I fully taped, I got sewn and taped in. I made the seamstress sew me in, and I said, "Can you duct tape me around?" I got tips from Rhea Ripley because she wears bra-inspired gear. I won't lie, there were a few moments where I caught myself looking down because when I bumped, I was like, they're still in, right? I was just worried about spilling out. Number 2. Brock Lesnar's pants-ripping F5. Now, in recent years, it's become more and more common for Brock Lesnar, previously cast as one of the most serious individuals in the industry, to now break character, with R-Truth and The Undertaker among those to have drawn a maniacal laugh out of the beast. It was once again the fault of R-Truth in September 2025, or rather the fault of what Brock did to R-Truth. Confronted by Ron Cena ahead of Brock's WrestlePalooza showdown with John Cena, Lesnar left Truth lying with an earth-shattering F5 that also shattered the material in Brock's jeans, as the back end of his denim tore during the impact, leaving his underwear on full display. Hilariously, Lesnar reveled in this incident, putting on his rear on full display before the ringside cameras. At number 1, Triple H knew exactly what he was doing. And although Triple H and Stephanie were traditionally on the same page whenever they were on television together, the spring of 2002 put them on the opposite ends of the ring, with Stephanie taking the side of Chris Jericho ahead of his and Triple H's undisputed title headliner at WrestleMania 18. The casting of Triple H as the babyface and Stephanie as the heel allowed the game to gain easy cheers from the latter-day Attitude Era crowd. It was simple, all he had to do was expose his wife. 3 days after revealing Steph's bare bottom while pulling her back into the ring, the King of Kings left her exposed while pulling her into position for a pedigree up top of the announce table. While the footage has been edited to avoid explicitly displaying McMahon's chest, she can be seen clutching her cleavage before Triple H pulls her arms away, as Stephanie later branded the incident as the single most embarrassing moment of her entire career. That, her being her most embarrassing moment, would be when I had the wardrobe malfunction. Yes, there was my husband again. We were on top of the announce table, I think, and he went to put me in the pedigree, and I was wearing something that was apparently too low cut even though I was taped in. And so in the pedigree, you bend over and both arms are tied behind your back, and I'm now looking at my own breasts that are exposed. My arms are pinned behind my back, so there's absolutely nothing I can do except stare at myself and think about how mortified I was in that given moment. That moment turned out to be probably one of the most viral moments of the internet in the early 2000s. But there you have it, folks, 10 of the worst attire malfunctions in WWE. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.